Hey guys, Brian here from PhoneArena, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Samsung Transform Ultra. This is the Sprint version of the Transform Ultra. There is also a version that first launched on Boost Mobile, which is of course Sprint's prepaid network. But what we're taking a look at today is the postpaid version. So, the Transform Ultra, as the name kind of implies, is an upgraded version of the original Transform, which we saw about a year and a half ago at this point. So, pretty long product cycle for that. In terms of the design, there hasn't been a whole lot changed. Obviously, visually it's a little bit different, but as far as where everything is, not much of a difference here. We've got 4 actual hardware keys down at the bottom. These are just your standard Android keys. As you can see, this is of course an Android device. It's running 2.3.4. We have the 3 megapixel back in the back here with an LED flash, as well as a little VGA camera up here. Camera performance wasn't too bad. We were actually kind of impressed by some of the detail in the strong lighting conditions and the macro pictures, but overall it is a 3 megapixel camera, so you're going to get what you pay for on something like that. Now of course this does slide open. We've got a full QWERTY keyboard here. This is a 4-row keyboard. All in all, it felt pretty good. The spacebar was a little bit flimsy to us, but we definitely have a nice click to the keys. There's a good spacing to them, so pretty easy to type on. But that said, we did find it easier to type on the on-screen keyboard, which you have either the option of the standard Android keyboard. As you see here, we also have swipe, and we just found ourselves to be faster on either of those 2 on-screen options. So it's nice that you have an option to use whichever one you like. There are some people that are definitely really tied to that hardware keyboard. But for those of you who don't really matter, they're just looking for a good budget phone, you also have the on-screen option for tapping out quick stuff, or you don't even have to slide this keyboard open ever if you don't want to. Looking around the rest of the phone, we've got our power button and a 3.5mm headset jack. Got the volume rocker on the left side, the micro SD port down at the bottom, micro USB, and then we also have the camera button here on the side. The back has a nice texture to it. Not sure if you can really tell that from the video. You can see some of the pattern, but it's also little nubs in these little diamonds. So it has a good feel to it overall. The build quality is really nice. It's got a little bit of heft to it, but not too much. The slide mechanism is excellent. We don't think they'd have any problems. It's a nice spring-assisted one. So all in all, Samsung's done a real good job with the hardware portion of the phone. As you can see from the little ID icon here, this is a SprintID device, which means there are plenty of theme packs available. Out of the box, it runs a pretty stock version of Android, which is something that we like to see. It's powered by a Snapdragon S2 processor at 1 GHz. It's just a single core, and it's got a gig of memory in it and 512 of RAM, so it runs pretty quickly. We didn't run into any snafus, any hang-ups, any lag, which is quite nice for a entry mid-level device like this. With the theme packs, of course, you can make this different as you download more and more things to the device. That's probably going to slow down some, but right out of the box, it's got plenty of power to do what you need it to do. It has all the stock Android apps here, so nothing too crazy. Some of the Sprint apps, of course, and then they also include Think Free Office, which is a nice Android office suite, and then Quick Video for the front-facing camera to do video chat. We'll load up the browser here, take a look at our web page. You can see everything's browsing and scrolling quite nicely. Double click, everything moves quite well. Flip it over, and everything really is just nice and smooth with this. Browsing is just the stock Android browser. Of course, there's 100 other options in the market, or the Play Store these days. So if that's not to your need, then you can download something different. But all in all, everything moves quickly, it runs fluidly and smoothly. As you can see, we have the stock camera here. We're actually looking at the video, but nothing really different than any other Android device out there, so users should be very familiar. One of the disappointments in the video is it's only VGA, which even these days really isn't all that great for YouTube viewing. So kind of disappointment there, but you do have a 3 megapixel camera, which, as we mentioned, takes pretty decent pictures. It's nothing high-end like the Epic 4G Touch or anything like that, but for a little mid-range device, it takes some good pictures as long as the lighting's proper. And then, of course, as we mentioned as well, you have the front-facing camera here for your video chat or if you just want to take some self-portraits. Overall, callers were really impressed with this phone. They said it was one of the best phones that we ever tested. Everything was really clear. They said we sounded kind of like we were in the cave, but in the front of the cave, so it wasn't too bad. But there was no static, no real background noise. Everything was really clear. Just from the word hello, they could tell who was calling, which is pretty impressive for a cell phone in general. So this is a big winner in terms of the call quality. Battery performance, it's got a 1500 milliamp battery. It is rated for 7 hours of talk time. Ours has been off the charger for a little over a day, and as you can see, hasn't drained too much, although in that past day we really haven't done much. In a day of moderate usage, it drained about half the battery for us. So for your average user, this phone's going to be able to get you through the day, throw it on the charger every night, no big deal. Power users, it may be an issue, but really that just depends on what you have loaded onto your phone and what you're using. Overall, we are pretty impressed with the Transform Ultra. It's not a bad little phone. At $49, it's certainly a viable option for first-time smartphone buyers or someone who's looking for something a little bit more advanced than a feature phone, but nothing too fancy. It's nice to have the option of the physical keyboard here, although we did like the on-screen keyboard better. Performance is nice and smooth, no hang-ups, no issues. Overall, we really can't say anything too bad about this phone. Sure, there will be some issues that crop up, as they always do in the future, but right now it looks like a solid buy at $49.